This is the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Jamie Meloni.
Hi, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. This is a real estate show, and I'm a real estate agent with Coldwell Banker Residential Real Estate here in South Tampa, and you'll find this show on every Mondays at noon, and I invite you to please make this a favorite show of yours, as my show aims to become your information source for the Tampa Bay real estate market. I am a bank-owned sales specialist, and myself and my team, we work with about 45 different banks, servicers, and asset management companies in the disposition of their foreclosure or their REO assets, as we call them. And so I'm a great source of available inventory and some great deals and some great pricing on properties. And so I invite you to please reach out to my website, which is TampaBayREO.com. That's where you'll find all of my listings. Again, TampaBayREO.com, as well as some of our upcoming listings, as these properties, when they're assigned to listing agents from the banks, are not immediately put on the market, so you can find some deals prior to going on to the MLS so that you can begin to conduct your due diligence. I invite you to also reach out to me through my radio show page. That's TampaBayRadio.com. Again, that's TampaBayRadio.com. And also, if you're out there in the Tampa Bay region considering selling your property, I offer all of my listeners a free home valuation. Just text the word value to 813-760-8516. Again, 813-760-8516. Got a great show planned for you today. I've got one of my expert contributors, Bud Spriggs with Movement Mortgage. He's in studio today. He'll be acting as a co-host with me today. Bud, how you doing?
I'm good. Happy Monday, everybody.
And how was the weekend?
It was nice. Great weather.
Great.
Took a long bike ride.
And also, we're going to be talking with David Page. He is an attorney consultant, basically a consultant for legal fees. So you definitely want to stay tuned here. I'm going to bring him on here in just a minute. And he's also the founder of LegalFeeAdvisors.com. And actually, we'll go ahead and bring him on now. So, David, are you on the air with me? David, how are you doing? Do you care?
I am here.
Hey, David, how are you doing? A little miscommunication there with, I think, my producer there. But, David, you welcome to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. Thanks for being on the air with me.
Well, it's great to be here.
Thank you very much. So, David, I just want to kind of introduce yourself to my audience and everything. First of all, tell me a little bit about what it is that you do.
Well, what our company does, what Legal Fee Advisors does, is we're a group of attorneys. And what we do is we help mostly corporations, but more now regular people, find ways to understand their legal bills, make sure they're getting value and efficiency, and get a good, fair deal.
Now, you've been in business or in the attorney field for about 25 years, and you're a former practicing attorney. Am I correct?
Yes, I ran my own law firm for almost 20 years.
And I see that you've been featured in many publications from the Wall Street Journal, CNN, Money and Forbes. So you're definitely, obviously an expert in your business. What kind of, how did you make the transition from being an attorney to be basically a consultant? What kind of spurred that motivation?
Well, basically, after the course of about 20 years, I was starting to go into various types of businesses and leaving the active practice of law. And one of the things that I noticed is that there was a real disconnect between attorneys and their clients on how to bill and how to make sure that the client understands what they're buying and feels good about the process. This isn't true for all lawyers, but it's true for enough that people sometimes actually make jokes about it. And I wanted to see if we could do something that could bring the two sides closer.
Okay, and how long have you been in the consulting area of the business?
Approximately 6 years. 6
years, and you've worked with many Fortune 1000 companies on their billing processes. Am I correct?
That's true.
Okay. So tell me some of the ways that you basically get in and help people deal with their attorneys. Do you come in at the onset of the retainer or the agreement, or is this something people call you after the fact, after they're already dealing with their attorney? Maybe they feel they're not getting a good deal. How do you work into the process?
Well, for large companies, they spend so much on legal fees, up to $1 billion a year for some companies.
Wow.
That the idea of how to control this and make it efficient is just as important to them as how they rent office space or buy property or anything else. For smaller companies and for individuals, though, many times we get contacted after they already have a problem.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do is turn that around a little bit and get people a little bit more informed, a little bit smarter about the process of how they actually hire a lawyer, how to get an estimate, how to get other documentation in place before they start to see those bills.
And I know myself, I had an employment issue years ago, and it seems like when you walk into an attorney's office, they kind of seem to have like that aura of power over and they kind of like whatever they say goes. They hand you a retainer agreement, and I remember signing the retainer agreement, and I don't even know if I ended up using all of the money within that retainer agreement. I really was kind of at a loss, for the situation that I was in. Do you see this a lot with people as well, that they really just kind of sign where they say sign and just take the attorney's words for what they say?
Right. I absolutely see this all the time. And this varies from just regular people hiring a lawyer all the way up to at least to small corporations. They kind of feel at a real disadvantage when it comes to working with their lawyer. After all, the lawyer's supposed to be on their side. How do you now question whether the lawyer is giving them a fair deal or a transparent deal? What we do is we help people through this process. We help them get a retainer agreement that is fair. We help them get estimation for their services that are going to be rendered and really control it in the way you might control hiring a contractor or hiring someone else who's going to be very expensive.
Now, one thing I noticed on your website, again, legalfeeadvisors.com, you advise people not to sign a retainer agreement, and that's kind of seems to be like the industry practice. They hand you a retainer, you put down a large deposit, but you're saying, you should probably take some time to step back to review the services that they're going to provide you. Am I correct?
Yes. I think that if for many things in our lives, transparency is so important. We want to understand what we're buying. And as most people know, if you go out to buy an automobile today, there's so much online information about how that ought to be priced and how you should buy it. And there's more transparency now in buying an automobile. The problem with buying services from a lawyer isn't so much that the lawyer would not answer questions if asked. Most people don't ask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I said, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So all I was going to say is, if you can say, this retainer agreement is okay, but I really don't understand these 3 or 4 sections here. Can you give me some kind of estimate as to what this part of the transaction will cost? Who will be working on it? What kind of range is there? What can I expect?
Mm-hmm.
Those are all fair questions.
And like I said, it seems like every time you call an attorney, they're going to, that's how they make their money, is on billable hours. And so if you call an attorney, you're going to be on the clock. But one thing I wasn't certain of, if I send the attorney an email, is he going to bill me, $10 an email or a response? I mean, what is that's just a kind of an off the topic question I have. How does email generally handled with an attorney? So many people want to just email back and forth versus calling. What do you see in the industry with communicating with attorneys via email?
Well, there are 2 parts to your answer. First of all, in negotiating the retainer and bills, attorneys ethically should not be charging their client for time spent talking about a bill or talking about the retainer. So that literally should be off the clock.
Okay.
Because that's the creation of the relationship. That's not actually legal work.
Okay.
With respect to email, though, that's a very interesting question. One of the easy things that people can do when they hire a lawyer is say, I would like your time, I would like notations for your time in tenths of an hour instead of in 0.25s or quarter of an hour. Some law firms are still billing in quarter of an hour increments. And what that means, getting back to your email question, is that if you send an email that said something like, can I come to your office to talk to you at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and they said yes, if their minimum time increment is a 0.25, you could end up spending a lot of money for that email.
That's a very... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And what I was just going to say is it's very, very important to make certain that does not become the type of situation where the attorney does extremely small things, and you're charged for those.
And I know in the real estate business, I'm constantly going back and forth with clients, and I'm thinking if I was an attorney and as a real estate agent, I'm expected to be available at all times. If I provided the same level of responsiveness as I do to my clients from an attorney's perspective, I would probably be racking up a lot of different billable hours. But with an attorneys, they kind of seem not to want to kind of communicate via email, and they kind of want to keep their knowledge kind of held back. And I always laugh the fact that the industry still relies heavily on the fax machine, and that's something that's pretty much gone the way of the dinosaurs. But yet you still see attorneys using the fax machine to send a lot of their demand letters and communications.
Yeah, and let me just make a comment about that. There are many, many lawyers and law firms out there that have embraced technology completely, and they utilize that technology to create tremendous efficiency for their clients. And I think that is, you just hit on something that's super important. One of the things to ask the lawyer is, how will you be communicating with me? How will you be saving me money by being efficient?
Gotcha. Okay.
And if a lawyer is in some way offended by that, that's not being fair to you. You have a right to ask for efficiency.
And David, tell me a little bit about some of the what area of law were you practicing when you were practicing an attorney?
I was a commercial litigator. So I dealt with lawsuits ranging from partnership disputes to insurance disputes to disputes involving real estate problems, basically everything that one might see.
Gotcha.
Involving the commercial world.
Okay, David, stay on the line here. I got to take a quick break. But coming back from the break, we're going to be talking a little bit more with David Page of LegalFeeAdvisors.com. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Hi, Jamie Meloni here, your host of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. The goal of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show is to be your source of real estate information in the Tampa Bay market. I've been in business for 7 years now and have sold nearly 1,000 homes in and around the Tampa Bay market. I work with 45 different banks and asset management companies selling foreclosed properties and have extensive knowledge on buying these foreclosed properties and want to help you understand opportunities in the marketplace as well as common pitfalls I see many buyers as well as realtors make each and every day. I'm excited about this new show and being able to share my experiences and knowledge as well as my contacts with you, my audience. Each week, the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show will feature information on the real estate market you need to know to position yourself as an educated player in the business, as well as feature real estate professionals from around the Tampa Bay region. You'll hear a lot about HUD government-owned properties, as well as Fannie Mae-owned properties and the different programs they have available to help make you a homeowner. My show aims to promote home ownership as well as responsible real estate investing and will highlight real estate success stories from in and around the region. If you'd like to be part of the show or have a real estate success story you'd like me to highlight on the air, or if you have general questions you'd like me to discuss on air, I invite you to reach out to me at tampabayradio.com. Just fill out the contact form or email me and give me a call at 813-760-8516. Again, 813-760-8516. I or one of my assistants will be in touch with you to discuss your real estate needs. Please don't hesitate to contact me. The real estate market is a fast-paced, constantly changing arena, and my show is your source of what you need to know to come out ahead. Again, reach out to me at tampabayradio.com or 813-760-8516. I invite all real estate professionals that are interested in promoting their business and expertise on air to please reach out to me. Show contributor openings are available and will fill up fast. Whether you are involved in lending, title, building, sales, basically anything tied to the housing market, I want to hear from you. Become part of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show and grow your business with mine on air. Again, I've been in business 7 years and have sold nearly 1,000 homes in the Tampa Bay region, and I can help you position yourself as an industry leader. Take a moment to visit my website at tampabayradio.com and be sure to like my Facebook page at facebook.com/Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show to keep up to date with show developments each and every week. Thanks for tuning in.
Since opening its doors 120 years ago, Stewart Title Company has established a lasting legacy of providing professional title services. Even other title insurance companies know Stewart Title Company because they do their actual underwriting for them. Stewart is here to provide a wide range of resources to help improve any real estate transaction. To learn more about protecting yourself against hidden title hazards that may threaten your financial investment, call Melissa Stoddard at 813-431-8025. That's 813-431-8025.
Hi, Jamie Meloni here, your host of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. Catch my new showtime on every Mondays at noon on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Also, if you're considering selling your home, then text the word value to my cell phone at 813-760-8516 for a free home valuation. Again, that's value to 813-760-8516, and find me online at tampabayradio.com.
You're listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show with local expert Jamie Meloni. Now, here's Jamie.
Hi again, everybody, and thanks for staying tuned in to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. If you're just tuning in, we've been talking with David Page. He is a attorney consultant for people that need help handling their legal bills with their attorneys, and he's also the founder of LegalFeeAdvisors.com. So I want to go ahead and continue the conversation with David here in the second part of the show. Now, David, you're affiliated with the American Bar Association's section of professional responsibility. Kind of tell me a little bit about what the American Bar Association's best practices for attorney billing is. What do they kind of advise attorneys to do when they're billing their clients?
This is a great question. The reason it's such a good question is the ABA's position on legal billing is very, very pro-client, and it is very common sense. Okay. For example, it is important to the ABA that attorneys' bills are clear, that you understand as a client what you're paying for. That's one piece. It's transparency. The other is attorneys have an obligation under the ethical rules to exercise something called billing judgment. And what that means is that it's the attorney's job to make sure that the client understands the economic consequences of the attorney going forward and billing time and doing all of what they do, so that the attorney does everything they can so their client is not in the dark.
Okay. Now, I was in reviewing your website. I was kind of I learned a lot of stuff actually from reviewing your website again, LegalFeeAdvisors.com. But many of the techniques that attorneys are using to produce their inflated bills, and elaborate on some of those techniques that these attorneys are using to basically inflate the bills.
Well, some of it is bill inflation, but other parts of it is just miscommunication. And let me give some examples. Sometimes attorneys will change their rates without telling the client they're doing it. They will just say, well, this is the time of year when we change our rates, so we're changing our rates. And they never actually tell the client. The client just gets a bill with a higher rate in it. And that's not terribly fair, and it's not good communication. Another piece is sometimes people will see a bill that will not have one or two lawyers on the bill, but will have 5 or 6 lawyers on the bill, and they'll wonder, why do we need all these people to get this done? It's a very, very common story for me to hear someone in a business about calling up a lawyer and having a question to ask, and all of a sudden 3 or 4 lawyers are on the phone, and you're saying, why are they on the phone? I didn't ask for them.
And one thing I found interesting on your website is, when they use clerical people to, at attorney rates. I mean, is that a common practice too? Basically, the secretary or the paralegal is preparing documents, and you're basically paying attorney rates for their level of judgment, I guess you could say?
Well, yes, and this is an area of significant controversy in the legal community. And here's what it comes down to. On the one hand, I think that most clients expect that an attorney will pay for their own clerical support and secretarial work, and then that won't be charged as if a lawyer's doing the work. On the other hand, a well-trained paralegal can be a real asset, not just to the lawyer but to the client, because if the paralegal is performing a task at a lower rate and doing it efficiently, the client actually wins. So really here's the piece for the client to watch for. Make sure that if you are being charged for a lawyer's time or a paralegal's time, you're getting real value from it. And it isn't just clerical work.
Okay. And so, David, here in wrapping up the interview, I kind of want to kind of sum it all up. If I'm going to an attorney this afternoon, what are the strategies I should, be employing to, basically get the best usage for my dollar with the attorney?
Well, there are a couple of things to be thinking about. One thing to be thinking about is right from the start, say to the lawyer, I would really like to understand right from the beginning, how much do you think this is going to cost me? What's going to happen here? And get an estimate in writing from that lawyer, and get a commitment from the lawyer that if the estimate changes in any substantial way, that they're going to give you a call and let you know.
Okay, and how can you get involved with them? I guess the ideal situation is that they contact you up front as an assistant and somebody on their side as well, correct?
Yes. So the ideal is that, but if they've got a bill in front of them and it's not a bill that they think is reasonable, they can either contact us at legalfeeadvisors.com or call 877-664-0020 and we'll help you.
Okay. And how do you are your services provided on a contract basis, an hourly basis, or is it basically negotiable?
It really depends on the situation. Sometimes it's on an hourly basis, but many times we just charge a flat fee for doing a certain type of work. Okay,
very good. Well, if you, David, I greatly appreciate you coming on the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here. And again, that's David Page, an attorney consultant, and his website, legalfeeadvisors.com. Please reach out to him if you have any problems, handling your billing situations with an attorney. And David, thank you very much for coming on, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and have a great day. So again, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. And here coming up after this bottom of the hour break, we're going to be talking with Bud Spriggs. And we got some great topics to cover here in the second half of the show, including, a little discussion on mortgage fraud. But, that's a common, problem in the Tampa Bay region. And so, hopefully, we can get some good information out to the people.
Yeah, we were huge in the mortgage fraud back then. As a matter of fact, one of the most recognized names, and it came right out of Tampa.
Yeah, and that's a lot of the inventory that I get from the banks, is a result of a lot of mortgage fraudulent transactions, resulting in these foreclosures. And so we'll be talking about that. I got some good information on that for you here in the second half of the show. So again, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. You can get me off the air through my website. I invite you to contact me through TampaBayRadio.com. And also you'll find all of my available listings at TampaBayREO.com. Again, TampaBayREO.com. And if you're considering selling a house in the Tampa Bay region, text the word value to 813-760-8516. Again, 813-760-8516. And I offer you a free home valuation to all my listeners. Back in a moment.
Did you know that you should change the air filter on your air conditioning system monthly? And did you know that the most expensive air filters can actually shorten the life of your system? Hi, I'm Gary, owner of Simpson Air. Those really expensive air filters that stop the tiniest particles also fill up so quickly they can actually starve your system of the needed air to perform properly. It's like putting a blanket over your car's radiator and then trying to drive a long distance. Your car's not going to perform the way it should, and it could damage the engine. That's why at Simpson Air, we use a triple ply filter. It traps the particles, but still allows that air to flow that your system needs to perform at maximum efficiency. That means cleaner air, a cleaner home, and lower utility bills. So, for cleaner air, call Simpson Air.
TheCoolestGuys.com is even cooler. Get the setup of the Simpson Air Triple Ply Filter Package and a year's supply of filters for only $99. You'll notice the difference. 813-558-0858 or visit TheCoolestGuys.com for Simpson Air. License CMCO 56976.
It's time for the Morgan & Morgan Legal Brief.
A firm's mission statement defines your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We take very seriously our obligations to our clients, many who come to us in their most desperate hour. Our mission is you. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Hey, looks like nobody's home at that house.
Okay, let's see what's inside.
Attention, this is the Alarm Force Central Station. Identify yourself immediately. The authorities have been dispatched.
Let's get out of here.
Go wireless this season. Add Alarm Force's cell wave technology with live two-way voice at no charge. Exclusive for the month of March. Stay connected to your home with Alarm Force.
Call 1-800-267-2001. Alarm Force.
License number 2000485.
Attention annuity owners, stop wasting thousands of dollars every year in fees. Do a tax-free exchange of your current annuity and save thousands every year. No commissions, no lockup periods. Complete access to your money from day one. Go to NoCommissionAnnuity.com and see the difference. NoCommissionAnnuity.com.
This report brought to you by Preparation H. For hemorrhoid relief, step up to Preparation H relief with the power of 2. First, use Preparation H medicated wipes to soothe as they clean. Then Preparation H Maximum Strength Cream to relieve pain and burning. Look for Preparation H at Walmart. Use as directed.
From the Bright House Network's Traffic Center, a little bit of slow traffic along southbound 275 as you make your way out of the I-4 interchange into Dale Mabry, as well as some slow traffic along northbound 275 between Kennedy and Dale Mabry. There was a crash reported along 301 at Big Bend Road. That has a travel lane blocked. And authorities on scene of a crash along East Lake Road at Keystone Road. That should mostly be off to the side. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Uterwick Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line at 866-545-9595.
1250 winds, weather center forecast. Bit of a warm afternoon. We'll see some temperatures upper 70s and even some low 80s. Right now, Zephyr Hills at 81, Lakeland, Brandon, both 79. Tampa 74 today and 78 in Clearwater. Staying sunny and a little cloud cover throughout the afternoon. Dry today, lows into the lower 60s. See mid-70s over the next couple of days with a slight rain chance. Thursday, 70% chance of rain, cloudy, windy, and cooler in the low 70s. That'll bring us a cool Friday into the mid to lower 60s. Wall Street, Dow's down 210, NASDAQ off 57, S&P Index red 19, Dow to 16,111.
You're listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show with local expert Jamie Meloni. Now, here's Jamie.
Hi again, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. This show is on every Mondays at noon, and I invite you to please tune in at that time as my show aims to become your information source for the Tampa Bay real estate market. I've been in business for about 7 years now, and I specialize in bank-owned property sales, and I've sold over 1,000 properties, and me and my team work with about 45 different bank and asset management companies. And a great honor bestowed upon me this past week. I was named number 10 in the country amongst all Coldwell Banker agents for units sold. That's actually the first time I had made that list, not just within our franchise, which is actually owned by a Realogy, which is a very large real estate holdings company in North America, but any and all Coldwell Bankers, I was in at number 10, so very happy about
Congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you very much. And my teammate, Christina Griffin, who regularly works on the show with me, she came in at number 7, so we were very excited to have 2 of the top 10 people from my team on the top 10 list. And I think I'm getting a free trip to Las Vegas out of it, as a matter of fact.
Who are you taking?
I don't know yet. So, but it's for the, I'm not positive of that, but our annual conference, I think I get a free trip for that. So anyways, that remains to be seen. But I was very happy to be named, number 10 on the top 10 associates within all Coldwell Banker offices across North America. I spent the weekend working on my real estate license renewal. At the end of the month, my license would have expired. But, in doing it, I thought, it might be a good topic to cover, quickly here, because I get asked all the time, what's it take to become, a real estate agent?
Right.
And, the requirements are pretty basic. The barriers to entry to obtaining a real estate license are in the state of Florida that you're just 18 years old with a high school diploma. You don't even have to be a Florida resident. You can live in another state and have a real estate license within Florida.
Any background checks?
Yeah, it's not. You have to disclose any past issues with the law and stuff. But no, there's no actual background check.
Wow.
You have to do a fingerprinting,
right,
and that may reveal some issues within law enforcement. But no, you just have to then have good character, moral judgment, a social security number, and then you just take a 63-hour pre-licensing course, and then you pass the state exam. So it's really make application, take the 63-hour course, and you can do that course online too.
The test is a little difficult, though. I mean, I took it a long time
The real
ago.
estate test is throughout the only real barrier to entry in the real estate business, and it has a 50% pass rate for people. And the course test, you take the course, you complete that. You can complete that. You can have your book with you because it's an online test.
Right.
But the actual state test, you got to go into a promisor's office and actually have some knowledge saved, and it's about a 50% pass rate, and that's really the only real barrier to entry in the real estate business. And there's so much turnover, though, that you see in this business. So many people get into it and get out. And, I always tell people, if you're really going to get into real estate, you're starting your own business.
Right.
You need to incorporate. You need to have, supplies and an office space and basically, a Rolodex of, a database of people, and to basically grow your business. And you really need about 6 to 12 months of, income ready, unless you really have a strong network of people to really build up that real estate business.
Including your startup costs, your licensing, your MLS,
startup costs,
all that stuff.
And there is such a learning curve because the stuff that you learn in the real estate licensing course,
it's just to weed the people out that can't pass the test.
Yeah,
there's
and
no practical use.
There is not, and I can tell you, I came out of the real estate course and they didn't even tell you how to write a contract.
Right.
And I was just at a loss, and there was so much, learning that went into the process that it took me a while to kind of get to where I am today. So if I was designing a real estate course, it would look nothing like the course that I took.
Right. Well, like I said, I think it's just to weed out the people, because after one try, maybe they're going to go back again.
And I myself also had a mortgage broker license, and Bud, you're a mortgage broker. What are the requirements to get a mortgage broker license these days?
It's been so long since I took that test, because I was back when we had the mortgage brokerage license in the state of Florida, and I did that. And then, of course, NMLS came around, and I had to get nationally tested.
Yeah, explain NMLS, because I had the mortgage broker license too back in 2005, and now this is something new. What has changed?
Well, basically that came about because obviously everything that happened to the economy and to the real estate market was because of mortgage originators. Mm-hmm. And I say that facetiously, that's not the case, but they thought that might be where to go to clean everybody's act up. So basically it's a national mortgage licensing system now, rather than each individual state having their own.
Okay, so there's no such thing is there no such thing as a mortgage broker license now in Florida? Am I correct in saying that?
I had one up until 3 or 4 years ago. Then, I morphed into a lender, and I can't tell you yes or no. I don't think there is. I think they either get state license or national.
And what you do,
license.
you're not a mortgage broker per se. I mean, we use that term kind of loosely in real estate. You work for a direct lender, correct?
I work for a lender, exactly.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about, you're with Movement Mortgage, and tell me a little bit about, what Movement Mortgage is and what they do and what you do.
Movement, when I was a broker for 25, 26 years, and I was happy with that, but Movement Mortgage came to me, and they were a realtor-centric mortgage company. And by that I mean this was back when everybody was making a living off of refis, and I knew that was not the way to stay in a business. That did not present longevity to me. Mm-hmm. And they basically came to me and said, look, can you guarantee people that they're going to close in 30 days as a broker? And I would think, my answer was, yeah, you would think so, because all the lenders that I used were always asking me for business, and you think they would bend over backwards to get files back to me and STIPs out and everything out so we could close in 30 days. And I said, no, we can't. And he goes, well, here's the way we operate here. And it was just a system built up so when you send a deal in, your agents and your customers aren't waiting 15 days to find out if they even have an approval. And, I sat down and talked to them, and I visited them and went over their process. And that's what they call it, the process. I'd send a loan in on Monday morning. More likely than not, I'll get a full-blown approval by the end of the day. And right there, you'll have conditions, and you can go over them. And the conditions may be appraisal, title, and insurance, and maybe a letter of explanation on whatever. But they know they have a loan, so that waiting period that they've got to see if they're going to be able to buy their home is eliminated. Mm-hmm. And then after that, they're on a 7-day clear to close. So the processors, they actually get paid. They get bonused on getting that loan either cleared to close in 7 days, which is unheard of. Banks, brokers, they just cannot do it because we're overstaffed to get this done this way. Or if not clear to close in 7 days, they got to get the package out 5 days before the closing.
Yeah,
so
and
it's all based on purchase.
Yeah, and you've done it. You've done a great job. With the clients that we've sent you. Since we began working together, and a lot of these changes that we were just getting back to just a moment ago are a result of the housing downturn that basically climaxed around 2007, 2008, and all of the mortgage fraud, that was going on within, the real estate business at the time. We were just talking about a minute ago, barriers to entry. There were really no barriers to entry to getting a mortgage broker license too. So it seemed like many criminals descended upon the state of Florida and took advantage of the easy money.
I remember there used to be a big mortgage brokers seminar where all the different lenders would come out. And I remember the last one I went to, I looked around, I said, hey, this is the business I've chosen, and these are my peers. And it just seemed like everybody and their brother were into the business.
Yeah, and there were at one time, tens of thousands of licensees, and now the mortgage broker is, there's not much out there, if any. I don't even know if people technically still have that license even.
Right. No, I was actually a broker right up until about a year and a half ago, and the big thing about being a broker was that you could still earn 2.75 points on a loan, and of course that's why people stay as a broker. And it had to have something positive for me to switch over to being a lender, and that's when I made the move to movement.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand the severity and the easiness of really committing a mortgage fraud. It's a federal offense, first of all. So if you are convicted of a mortgage fraud transaction, I mean, you can do up to like 15 years in prison, per count. And basically, I always define it. It's modern day bank robbery is what it is.
Right.
With technology the way it is, and money as easy as it is to obtain, or was easy to obtain at that point. I mean, it was so easy to produce fraudulent documents.
Well, it's tougher now, but you got to remember back then there were loan programs out there where you didn't put anything down. It was called a no-doc loan, and you didn't put down where you work. You put no income down. Your credit had to be good, maybe a little bit of a down payment, and you got a loan. It was called a no-doc loan. That came after the no-income verification loan, which they actually called a liar's loan. It's like, don't tell me how much you make per your tax returns. How much do you really make? And they put that down and just proved that they were self-employed. So the market was ripe for all this stuff happening, and some people took huge advantage of it.
And there's many ways to commit mortgage fraud, and something you may just think you're it's something innocent. Just misstating your income, misstating whether or not you're going to live in the property or not is also considered a fraudulent thing to do. If you're going to be investing and you're telling the lender that you're going to be living in it, because you generally pay lower points.
You do that because your rate's going to be better. Your down payment's probably going to be a little bit less, and that's to the point that somebody's actually making a legitimate move they're scrutinized. They're looked at.
Yeah.
Sometimes people want to downsize, and I've got to get letters saying this is the reason they're moving from this 3,000 square foot home to this condo. They're not buying it as an investment. They really want to live there.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're just misstating your intent to use the property, I mean, you're committing a mortgage fraud right there. And a big change that I've noticed, was the change with how the appraisals were handled back in before the housing downturn. Mortgage brokers had their basically go-to lender, and they basically could get whatever value they needed. And now that's not the process.
No, I mean, I don't know if it was a change for the good. My appraisers worked hard for me, but they never gave me a blank check and said, what do you need us to come in at? Now, there were appraisers out there, and things happened.
But it was an easy system that could be abused. I'm not saying that it was commonplace amongst all brokers, but it was obviously
easily abused. I saw it happen. I saw it happen. However, now the change is that basically you're getting the product or the turnaround you're getting, or the service is a little bit less, and the customer in the long run is paying more for it, because the appraiser that was charging you $325, $350 for an appraisal, now the appraisal management company is charging you $475 for that same appraisal, paying the appraiser maybe $325, $350, so that extra money is going to the middleman.
Yeah, that was a big change that come up as a part of that housing downturn, is the use now of appraisal management companies. You as a loan officer have no contact with the appraiser in the process, so there's no way that you could possibly influence them.
I can lose my ability to do business just by calling the appraiser up and saying, "Hey, you made a mistake. You did." I cannot talk to them.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most notable changes that I've seen come across as a result of, everything that took place with the housing downturn and the mortgage dilemma. So if you're just tuning in, you're listening here to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Coming back here in this last segment, we'll be talking a little bit more with Bud Spriggs about mortgage fraud epidemic that descended upon Florida back in the early 2000s. So please stay tuned. Hi, Jamie Meloni here, your host of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. Are you a first-time buyer that is frustrated with trying to find a home in the Tampa Bay region? Have you been looking for months only to be constantly told that home is no longer available or another offer was accepted? If so, I understand your frustration. Buying a home is an emotional and challenging phase of our lives, and today it's made even more difficult due to the low inventory we have in our region. In this challenging market, you have to reach out to industry-leading professionals to help you get the job done. Please take a moment to visit my website at tampabayradio.com or send me a text to 813-760-8516. Again, 813-760-8516. So I can put you in touch with one of my buyer agents that can help you navigate this challenging marketplace. Folks, right now we are at about a 7-year low for inventory in our region. The market has shifted and we are in a seller's market again, and on top of that, there are large real estate investment groups eating up a lot of the inventory as soon as it hits the market. How do you as a buyer compete in this market? There's a lot to know and understand, and again, you need to have an agent on your side that can guide you through this market. My team of buyer agent professionals are educated on what is going on in the marketplace. They understand the importance of getting you not just pre-qualified for a mortgage, but fully approved for a mortgage. They understand how to sell HUD government-owned properties as well as Fannie Mae-owned properties, which make up a lot of the inventory in the region and areas many realtors do not understand or fail to advise their buyers properly on. Again, you've got to reach out to me and my team. We have the knowledge and experience to help you find a home and make it a smooth and enjoyable process. Please reach out to me at tampabayradio.com or my phone, 813-760-8516. Again, 760-8516. Also, if you or someone you know is interested in real estate as an investment, you've got to reach out to me and let us know. I work with 45 different banks and asset management companies selling foreclosed properties, and am well connected to many of the area real estate wholesalers that are also a source of real estate opportunities. I've sold nearly 1,000 homes in the region in the past 7 years and am your source of real estate information in the Tampa Bay marketplace. Again, please visit my website at tampabayradio.com, and you can also get me at my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/The Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show, and via phone, 813-760-8516. Thanks for tuning in.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
Hi, Jamie Meloni here, your host of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. Catch my new showtime on every Monday at noon on 1250 Wins WHNZ. My show is your source of real estate information in the Tampa Bay region. Catch me on air again every Monday at noon and online at tampabayradio.com. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/The Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show to keep up to date with all the show developments. See you there.
You're listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show with local expert Jamie Meloni. Now, here's Jamie.
Hi again, everybody, and thanks for staying tuned in to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. You'll find my show on every Mondays at noon, so please tune in as my show aims to become your information source for the Tampa Bay real estate market. If you're just tuning in, and we've been talking with Bud Spriggs of Movement Mortgage about the mortgage fraud epidemic that descended upon Florida in the early 2000s. And for people that weren't aware, Florida was ranked number one for mortgage fraud, and it may still very well be. I deal with the bank-owned property sales, and I come across these people all the time. And you see all the shysters in the industry. They kind of the bank-owned stuff is ground zero, I should say, for a lot of these offenders. And Bud and I were talking, off the air just a moment. I don't know if anybody remembers Matthew Cox. He was probably the king of the mortgage fraud epidemic, and he operated here in Tampa in the early 2000s. And do you remember Matthew?
Oh
Cox?
yeah. As a matter of fact, I just had to do my my continuing education class, and it's an online thing, but he was as far as the mortgage fraud, there was just different sections. He's actually embedded in there telling his story. There was a lot of Matthew Cox in my continuing ed class.
And this gentleman, I mean, he's now doing about 26 years in a federal penitentiary, but he acquired they estimate anywhere between $5 and $25 million due to the mortgage, to constant uses of mortgage fraud, and he was a loan officer in the Tampa Bay region at the time, and he showed up on the Secret Service's most wanted list, and he was on the run for many years before they finally.
And
caught
he's
him.
in prison now for a long time.
He finally got caught somewhere up in the Midwest here several years ago. But I remember he was the focus of Dateline 60-minute specials, and I mean he was very much sought after for this.
Right.
The interesting thing I thought about him, though, is right as he was beginning in the business, he wrote a book called The Associates, which basically outlined what he had done. It was a story about a loan officer using mortgage fraud and the crime spree that he went on across, the United States, and basically it was a blueprint to what he had done. So when
that was before he got caught.
Yeah, he wrote that.
That might not have been a good idea.
No, the FBI got the book, and there were so many details that mirrored his life that they were able to use that book against him in helping catch him on the run. So that's just a very
maybe not as smart as we thought.
It's interesting how some criminals, they want the glamorous part of it, and sometimes they end up shooting themselves, in the foot. But one of the common scenarios that we see in how mortgage fraud operates is the use of a straw buyer, and sometimes the straw buyer may or may not be involved in the process. But basically, it takes multiple parties to be involved, and usually the loan officer, the appraisal, and a title company. And this actually happened to a friend of mine. She was brought on by a loan officer as a property manager, and she thought she was investing in real estate, and the loan officer was buying properties under her name, and she was acting as the property manager. And what happens is the loan officer gets the appraiser to appraise the property way over what this property is worth, and then the title company prepares two sets of fraudulent documents, and then at closing there's cash going out to one of the parties, usually the loan officer, the appraiser, and the title agent. Sometimes the straw buyer may be involved,
gets a little bit of it,
maybe, but sometimes they're not. And when I first started in real estate in 2006, my friend who I met at college came to me, and she owned about 8 properties. And I remember asking her, what do you do? You must have a lot of money. She's like, no. My friend who I work for, he's handles all these transactions. And so she owns, and they're all in Mirror Bay too. These were nice properties, and she made just a basic salary of $30,000 a year. Yet she owned 8 pieces of real estate in excess of $200,000. And I remember, looking into it a little bit for her, and I saw the inflated prices that she had paid on these properties, and she had no clue what she was involved in. She was the straw buyer in the process, and eventually the FBI called her. Right. And she was put under investigation, and fortunately, she was exonerated of the charges. She really had no idea what was going on, but that particular loan officer was then charged with mortgage fraud, and he is now currently doing 8 years up in, I think, Chicago prison as a result of this.
And I'm sure all the mortgages that she was involved with, they probably all foreclosed, so her credit is trashed. And
yeah, and that's what happens. The properties end up going to foreclosure. The person doesn't make any payments to the bank, and unfortunately that's what happens.
Right. I had a buddy come to me, impeccable credit, straight-laced guy, hard worker, and somebody had come to him with an opportunity, and I listened to it, and I said, it doesn't sound right. It does not make sense. And, of course, the lure of an extra $5,000 in his pocket without doing anything was too much for him. And then years later, he ended up going bankrupt with mortgages foreclosed on and starting all over.
Yeah, and it was, like I said, I got into the business 2006, and in those first few years, I came across a lot of shiesty people. And, now with the changes in with the way, real estate is handled, as a result of, the housing downturn, the Dodd-Frank Act and stuff, a lot of, controls are put into place that are stopping this. But, it's interesting. I've dealt with probably 4 or 5 people that I can think of off the top of my head that are now in prison. And you just know when you deal with them, just something's not right. And the fact that I sell these bank-owned properties, they're easier pickings versus, properties out there, with a true seller in them, versus these unoccupied bank properties and everything. So, Bud, tell me a little bit more about some of the programs that you have available out there for some of our
offer
listeners.
the full gamut, but let me tell you something that we do that's a little bit different or a lot different than anybody else in the area or that anybody else does is when, if Jamie calls me up with a customer and he says, Bud, I'm taking these people out, or one of my buyer's agents is, we want to get them pre-approved and make sure that their credit's okay and they can get a loan. I'll go ahead and I can do that for them in a matter of minutes. I run their credit, take their information, and then go ahead and give them a letter of pre-approval. After that, while they're looking for a home, I'll go ahead and contact these customers and gather their documentation and review it. And then this is what we do that nobody else. We take the next step. I go ahead and submit this guy's or this customer's file to underwriting and get a full-blown commitment. So you've got a customer that's basically got a loan commitment and just needs, like I said before, the appraisal, the title, and the insurance, and maybe a couple of conditions if there are any. But so you're driving somebody around that has a loan commitment and they're ready to buy. The closest thing to a cash buyer you can get.
Yeah, and I give that tip out to buyers all the time. I mean, if you're out there competing in the Tampa Bay real estate market and you have not, gotten yourself fully approved, actually through underwriting, you're putting yourself at a strong disadvantage. So when you make that first call to the real estate agent, ask them for a lender recommendation so that you can begin, getting yourself set up.
Or call Bud Spriggs at 727-798-3888 or go to budspriggs.com and apply online.
Absolutely. And if you didn't catch that, you can reach out to me and I'll be happy to put you in touch with him. So if you're just tuning in, you've been listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. I had a great show today. If you missed the first half of the show, we were talking with David Page of LegalFeeAdvisors.com on how to handle attorney billing. And in the second part of the show, we've been talking with Bud Spriggs on the mortgage markets, mortgage fraud and some of the licensing requirements that real estate agents and loan officers go through in the state of Florida. So again, you'll find this show on every Mondays at noon, so I invite you to please tune in as my show aims to become your information source for the Tampa Bay real estate market. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you next week.
The opinions, viewpoints, and promises made during the preceding program are not those of WHNZ AM, its staff, management, or parent company, Clear Channel Communications Incorporated.